Kathleen Kennedy is retiring and leaving Lucasfilm at the end of the year. Also, reports are saying. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well and keeping safe, and thank you for joining me for another video where today we're going to have a talk about the news that Kathleen Kennedy, yes, the Lucasfilm president, is apparently retiring and leaving the company later this year. There has been a few reports saying that she might stay on. It is definitely a rumour mill that's been constantly brewing for the past probably about 5 years, ever since the rise of Skywalker, about her leaving. But apparently she is supposed to be leaving later this year. She's going to retire, and for some it will be a sad news, and some it'll be about time. For me, it's just like the damage is already done. It doesn't really matter if she stays or go. Whoever takes over Star Wars, I do not envy them, because they've got a really hard job to do to try and get interest back in the brand. Now, I know people will say, oh, you're going to have a go at her, you're going to have a go at her. And there is criticism to be had at her, definitely so, but I'm not going to be nasty or anything. I'm just going to say what I think. Kathleen Kennedy is certainly a very talented woman. She has been a very good producer over the years. If you look on IMDb, her film catalogue is absolutely astounding. She has been working with Steven Spielberg for years. Ever since Poltergeist, she was on E.T., the Indiana Jones films, Goonies, all of the big films you loved from the 80s. She probably was a producer on it. And she was there for Gremlins 2, even Cape Fear, all the way up to Jurassic Park, Twister, should I say, not the sequel, Young Sherlock Holmes, to even The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. She was also a producer on the last Airbender film as well, but less said about that the better. But if you look at her filmography, it's over 100 films here, or 100 projects, and it's absolutely outstanding how much she has actually done here. And obviously when Disney bought out Lucasfilm, she took over as the Lucasfilm president, overseeing all the stuff going on with the films and TV projects and various other stuff. And yeah, straight from the get-go, it seemed to be a bit of a success, especially when The Force Awakens came out. A huge hit, $1 billion film, highest grossing opening for a film in America, broke so many different records and was a huge success. But unfortunately, the cracks very much started to show after then. Rogue One was the next film on the plate, and it was a fantastic film, but it was also mired with a few troublesome issues, a lot of reshoots and retooling. Ultimately, it did work out very well. The film is fantastic and definitely probably the best Star Wars film Disney has produced. But then the year after, with The Last Jedi, definitely saw a big issue there. A lot of people took issue with the film, really didn't like it, thought there was a lot of squandered and wasted potential. Me personally was one of those. I know a lot of people love the film. It does have its pros, but there's just as much cons as there are pros with that film. Then we also got the Solo film, which flopped spectacularly, and then we had The Rise of Skywalker, which was a hodgepodge mess of a film that was an apology, but even more of a mess that really didn't know what it wanted to be, and ultimately left most fans unfulfilled and really just didn't care in the brand. Now, the whole debacle behind this sequel trilogy is a video in its own right. They went into it, gonna make a trilogy, gonna have 5 films in 5 years, and they didn't even have a plan, really. They were pretty much making it up as they go along, and especially with The Rise of Skywalker, they were still tinkering with it right up until the film's release. It is absolutely baffling and shocking. I understand wanting to get a new trilogy out, but take your darn time. And that is unfortunately a precedent that was a thing with most of Star Wars under Kathleen Kennedy's control. And this could also be down to the Disney CEO Bob Chapek at the time, who wanted content. And this is a thing that is worrying me with Bond a bit, because Amazon are just going to see IP and think, let's milk it dry. And they've certainly done that with Star Wars. With the Disney Plus side of things, with the constant TV shows, you've had Mandalorian, which was fantastic. The first 2 seasons were very good. The 3rd season less so. You had the Book of Boba Fett, which was a massive disappointment, and a lot of fans didn't really like how they changed Boba Fett's character. You had the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which started promising and just fallen flat on its face. You had Ahsoka, which was pretty good by all means, but mostly very forgettable. You had Skeleton Crew, which was the most recent Star Wars project, which I've heard is really good. I've only ever seen the first episode and thought it was all right, but nobody's actually talking about it, and apparently the viewing figures were pretty darn bad for it. And then you've also got the most controversial project that they had, and that was last year's The Acolyte, which was an absolute travesty of a TV series that was insulting to both Star Wars fans and viewers because it just really didn't know what it wanted to do. It had a story that was telling in such a weird way that didn't go anywhere. It was poorly paced, poorly written, terrible script, and ultimately it really did a lot of damage to the brand that is going to take a long time to get back to. But there is one TV project that I haven't talked about that is coming back very soon, and actually by the time of recording this is actually coming out in April, I think, at the end of April, and that's the Andor TV series. Now this is a TV series I thought, why do an Andor TV series? It seems a bit silly. And I only watched it last year due to the mediocrity of The Acolyte. I thought, I'll give this a shot, see what it's like, and my word, it is one of the most richly written, fantastically shot, brilliant pieces of TV I've seen. It's up there with the stuff that you would get from HBO, and it feels so jarring that this is in the same part of like Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka and Acolyte. This thing towers above those shows as something much more, and I really cannot wait to see what happens with season 2. Cannot wait for that, and I really do hope that they stick the landing with it. Seriously, that is one thing that I am excited for. She also reside over the development of the Indiana Jones film, the 5th one, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, a film that's so depressing and boring and an absolute waste of time that it flopped and lost hundreds of millions of dollars. It was a film that should have been done 10 years ago, if not 15 years ago, and was way too late. Harrison Ford, as much as he is a great actor, he certainly was showing his age, and the story was just really boring and kind of felt like, yeah, Indiana Jones shouldn't have been brought back. And it definitely did show with how poor the reviews and the box office was. And personally, I think she probably should have stepped down after Indiana Jones, because after losing that studio so much money with that film, it really should have made sense for her to step down then. But she still kept on, and she's still here as of now. And that, while there hasn't been no official word from Disney or Lucasfilm that she is leaving, every website seems to be running with the headline that she is leaving at the end of the year. And she has definitely had some wins there, definitely. Mandalorian, the sequel trilogy, I mean, whether you like them or loathe them, they all made over $1 billion at the box office, which at the end of the day is what Disney is. They're a business, they're here to make money, and that made money. But unfortunately, also the other projects, the Disney Plus projects, have damaged the reputation of Star Wars immeasurably, especially The Acolyte. It's turned Star Wars into a series that was probably the biggest IP in the world to an IP that people just like, yeah, that was a thing. Yeah. And that is the biggest crime of all, that you can turn a series that is beloved and get people excited to Star Wars just to make people go, eh. That is the most damaging thing you could do. And whoever, as I said before, whoever takes over the mantle as the Lucasfilm president, I do not envy him. It is a really hefty task to fulfill to get Star Wars back on track. And another issue with Kathleen Kennedy and with Lucasfilm in general was the announcement of projects that didn't go anywhere. If you go over to IMDb, she's got 15 up-and-coming projects, and the majority of them are all untitled films. You got the Mandalorian Grogu film, which is coming out next year, and the Andor TV series, which is coming in a couple of months' time. But you've got an unannounced trilogy, unannounced title Star Wars film, Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, Lando, Adventures of Tintin sequel, which that is a Steven Spielberg thing that has been in development for years. That's probably not going to happen. But you got the Taika Waititi film, you got the Rogue Squadron film, you got the Ray movie. So many movies they announced, and none of them have come to fruition. They'll announce them and then quietly just say, yeah, it's not happening. Like, do not announce stuff unless you've got palpable evidence to prove that you're going to make it. Because what's the point in getting excited for all these projects when you just keep chucking them away? It is really, really poor showcase, and definitely does show that you don't have confidence in your brand, and it shows a lack of awareness, and it really, as I said, doesn't help the Star Wars brand in the slightest. A time for jubilation that she is apparently leaving? No, it isn't. It's like celebrating Godzilla leaving a city after he destroyed it. There's no point. It's going to take a very long time to rebuild the brand. Whoever takes over it probably might be Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau together. If they do take over, it's going to take a long while to get Star Wars back on track. I do think if Andor's very good and Mandalorian is good, the film, it will go somewhere, but it will take until they bring out a fair few films before people will start going, yeah, we can get excited for Star Wars again. And Star Wars is still a popular IP. They obviously release books, games and toys, but the stuff doesn't sell like it used to. I remember during the era between like episode 3 and episode 7, like from about 2007 all the way to about 2010, 2012, Star Wars stuff was still selling. The toys were popular. The games were popular. People were still talking about Star Wars. It was still in the popular zeitgeist. But now, like, people don't care. You go into a toy shop now. In the UK, we have a British toy store called Smythe's, and they have hardly any Star Wars toys at all. They have more Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but nothing to do with Star Wars. And like about 10 years ago, it'd be Star Wars everywhere. And that is a testament to how popular or not popular the brand is. You go into a toy store and you go into any other shop that sells toys, you go to their bargain bins, you'll be sure to find loads of Star Wars toys reduced because people don't want them. The only Star Wars toy property that's any popular is Lego Star Wars, and it's because it's Lego, and most of the stuff is all based on old classic Star Wars stuff. Some people are saying, like, in years to come, people will look back on these Star Wars projects like they did with the prequels and be a bit more forgiving to them. And the reason why people are more forgiving to the prequels now, even though that there are still some people there who absolutely detest them, is that they are much more better than what we are getting now. Don't get me wrong, we have still got some good stuff here. Andor, definitely. I've heard Skeleton Crew's very good, and Mandalorian, but there's been so much subpar content, and too much of the word content, and not enough quality. And that's what needs to happen with Star Wars in the future. Stop it with the Disney Plus deluge of content. Don't need it. Go back to making Star Wars films. That's another thing. Star Wars feels like a film thing. To see Star Wars on the TV shows like Marvel, it kind of, dare I say, it kind of dampens the brand, kind of reduces the shine of it if you're just going to do a TV show. But that's just my opinion of it. And don't get me wrong, I do like a few of the Marvel and Star Wars shows, but I do think it does kind of damage the brand a little bit. My personal opinion is I am glad she's gone, but then again, she might as well stay on because it's not a win. It's not a win for anybody at the end of the day. The only person it's a win for is Kathleen Kennedy. She's going to go out on her own terms in a golden parachute and leave everybody with the mess that she has created. Whilst the team at Lucasfilm has the unenviable task of trying to rebuild and make Star Wars relevant again, to instead get public opinion from to like, yes, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a hard task, and I hope whoever takes over the mantle as the head of Lucasfilm gets the job done. Because I don't want to sit here and moan about Star Wars. I don't want to sit here and moan about any of these beloved IPs. I want to celebrate them, have fun with them, be excited for once, and not just sit there and say, yeah, that was disappointing. Look at what we had, and look at what we got now. So here's hoping whoever takes over of her at Lucasfilm does a better job. But hey, that's just one man's take on the whole matter. Tell me what you think in the comment section down below. Tell me, are you celebrating she's leaving? Are you sad she's leaving? Or are you quite impartial and don't care either way? Tell me all in the comment section down below. And why don't you tell me one of your favourite Disney Star Wars projects? I keep hearing a lot of people say Skeleton Crew is good. So if you've seen it, tell me all in the comment section down below. And that Andor trailer, that does look darn good, don't it? So anyway, thank you ever so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you ever so much for taking the time for watching it. You stay safe, take care, and I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.